What's up, everybody? It's your boy Andrew L. Case, and you are now tuned into the Middle Initial Podcast. Today is March 24th, 2024, and here my co-host, as usual. Wait a minute. I see a new face in the building, possibly a rising star. If you don't know, now you know. Matty Traynor is in the building. Matty is our new addition to the Ascension Podcast Network and the host. And we're looking for a new co-host right now, but the host of Middle Initial Black Diamond BD Pod 24 at BD Pod 24. This is Matty Traynor. I've mentioned his name before several times. You've seen the tweets. Now I can add a face to it. Matty's in the building. Of course, we're here with my co-host, as usual, the legend himself, Jude A. Jackson. Jude, say what's up to the people.
Hey everyone, doing pretty well. In around 3 hours, I'll be 32 years old, the ripe old age of 32. It's crazy.
Wow. Wow. We've watched Jude grow with this show, become a better host, slightly better tweeter, not that great at Discord, but we watched Jude grow as a grown man. I've known Jude for let's see, it's
been long.
And prior to that, so
it's been longer. It's been at least 5 years. Like most people on Twitter who follow me have known me for at least 10 years by now, which is great. Yeah, at least more than 5. Yeah, 10 years actually. Like I've been on there since 2013 with the Jets and all that stuff. So it's like 10 years, which is crazy. Matty's one of the newer ones, so he's only known me for like a couple of months. But
I think I followed you though prior to that, before even the whole Discord and then the whole MI Pod thing. So I've definitely been a
you saw the vision
for a while now. Yeah. I see the vision from the past. Yeah.
I'm excited.
They're 32 years old. Big thing. I remember my first beer. 32 years old. You know. What are the birthday plans this year?
Nothing too. You know me by now, Case. Nothing too crazy. If I could just maybe have a couple of drinks, relax. Yeah, just like a cup of milk or something like that. Nothing too crazy.
A couple of melatonin.
Almond milk. Warm almond milk. Not warm, but cold almond milk.
Ice cold almond milk. All right, Kurt Angle. Matty Traynor's in the building. Matty, do you have a middle initial? You're going to tell us the middle name. What's your middle initial?
Middle initial is R. Stands for Ryan. So, yeah, no, not afraid to put that out there.
No problem.
Matt Ryan Traynor.
Matt Ryan Traynor. That's hey, I like that.
No relation to the quarterback, former Atlanta quarterback, former Indianapolis Colts quarterback.
No relation to Matty Ice. So Matty, we know what brings you here. You're part of the team. You're filling in for Kev tonight. Shout out to Kevin A. Lewis. He's spending time with his fam tonight. You're filling in for Kev. Big shoes to fill tonight. How do you feel making your first appearance on MI Pod?
Well, once you sent me that text, I absolutely just ran, grabbed the laptop, and was excited to hop on, join. Very active in the Discord. Love when we're, going back and forth about a million different topics. Hopefully I can do Kev proud. My bitter rival right now, he's actually my first matchup in one of our fantasy leagues. I think it turned out I was going to be in one fantasy league with Kev. All of a sudden I'm in 3 with him, so he brought me into that degenerate fantasy baseball life. So absolutely stoked to be here tonight and ready to roll.
Kev is
you're not going to be as antagonistic. Like Kev is very antagonistic, so I get the feeling that you're going to give me a break and I can just not spread misinformation but spread my truth, because I come on here, I spread the truth, and Kev doesn't want to hear the truth I spread. So thank you, Matty. I already know you're spreading the truth today.
I love to feed into the fire. It just brings in, controversy and sparks intellectual debates. And, that's my power.
I warned you, don't enable him. Don't enable him. He's reckless when he's enabled. But listen, our resident degenerate is not here, but we will be discussing a degenerate in a few. Let's start the show.
You are now tuned in to the Middle Initial Podcast, bitch. Now everybody pod nowadays, but it pays when you listen to Jude, Kevin, Case, and in case you missed it, get your spirits lifted. Man, New York's getting covered just to be specific. When the beast will kick it, you get back. Yeah, listen one time, I promise you come back. No, we switching up a topic, you know that we come pack. And I don't wanna say it, but bitch, we want blacks. In fact, we need that. Cause ain't nobody talk like the boys. It don't matter who you like or employ. We've been the best for a minute. Big brains could've went to MIT, but we like talking shit. Here's the MIP.
Yeah, best podcast intro in the game, hands down. Shout out to I Am Thorb. We haven't been around for about another week or so, so let's jump in straight into the subject at hand. We spoke about. I gave you a little precursor about the degeneracy. Shohei Ohtani and his translator is in hot boiling water. Over this past, I would say this past weekend, before the weekends, apparently, and we've had our back and forth about gambling and legalized gambling and illegal gambling and how it's going to play out and pan out. Shohei's name was on some interesting wire transfers. Let me see if I get his interpreter's name right. I don't want to mess up the interpreter's name, but he definitely was in some hot water. Because if his name is Ipe,
yeah, I think it's Ipe. Yeah,
Ipe, right? His former interpreter now, but Ipe has a little gambling problem apparently. To the sum of what was it, $4.5 million?
Yep.
Yeah. So questions has arisen because it's a federal investigation. And in this investigation, Shohei's name was on. I believe they said 2 wire transfers to his his interpreter for that large sum, and it brought up some speculation. Is this Shohei's gambling? Did he send out his mans to go put some bets out for him, or is this another like Jaguars case where someone is stealing? And he got caught red-handed. So I'm going to let Matty start. He's our not our guest, but he's green. He's the rookie on the scene, and get him started. What did you read, Matty? And what are your thoughts?
So I saw like a condensed breakdown, and so if I just read a little bit off of, I have the screenshot of it. So in order. So the first thing is that they were investigating the bookie, and that's how the first thing is Ohtani's name came up. And then, like you said, the transfer went to the money to the bookkeeper to pay the debt. And then the interesting thing is that Ohtani's team sent Ipe to ESPN to do a 90-minute video interview to say that Ohtani never gambled, and specifically said never gambled on baseball, and that it was all him, and that Ohtani was kind of like being a good friend, and he was taking care of the debts. And so the whole sketchy situation of it is, first of all, how is a bookie gonna let someone go up 4.5 million in credit? I mean, he definitely dropped that he was Ohtani's interpreter, but at the same time, when you're up to 4.5 million, there had to be some show of credit that he was actually good for it. So he wouldn't do that unless, and he was Ohtani's best friend, so he wouldn't do that unless he was like, hey, like, I'm down this much. And did he wait until he was down 4.5 million, or did he wait till he was down like a couple 100,000? That's what they got to look into. And another thing is, so they did the interview with, and it was basically the guy taking the downpour for Ohtani. And then all of a sudden, I guess there was another faction of Ohtani's team came out, and they were just like, oh, no, this is not true. It's the money was stolen. And they decided not to, they were like, everything is a lie now. So when I see that, it's telling me that, okay, the first story about Ohtani being a good friend and, lending the money to help him out, and the guy like kind of came out and was like a straight shooter about the whole thing. And, I think that kind of was part of the truth. But when you're tying in Ohtani, especially with gambling and especially dating back to the Pete Rose thing, you now have the face of baseball tied into, one of the biggest corruption schemes dating back to, the previous greatest hitter of all time in Pete Rose. So once you see that, and all of a sudden, all the money and that and advertisement that Ohtani brings in, for not only being in LA but from Japan, now the MLB is like, whoa, like this is a lot more serious. We need to get this story straight, and get in front of it before the FBI actually leaks and brings out all the facts. So when I see that, it tells me that Ohtani is definitely more aware than what they're letting on. And it's tough to engage with that because for the past 6 years since he's been with the Angels, there's been no media access with him. And from what I've seen in reports, Mike Trout said that Ohtani is a lot better at English than he lets on. He just uses that kind of as a crutch to, not have to deal with these reporters after games. So that's what I've been reading through it so far. And it's a very interesting situation, especially since the season didn't even technically start. I mean, it started in Korea, but now we're here.
This is the interesting thing about all of this is the timing, because he signs this huge mega deal, which he deferred up until like 7 years old. You know what I mean? They go get Yoshi Yamamoto, and he signs this huge contract. And the Dodgers are supposed to be this powerhouse juggernaut team that's going to rail through and win the World Series. And not even 2 games in, you have this huge gambling controversy over your superstar's head, and the FBI is involved. One thing I realized about baseball, their scandals are never small. Like there's NBA has this, NFL has this.
No.
They're small. Like you have the steroids, the Balco investigation. You have the Chicago Black Sox when they was, when they was doing games and stuff like that. You got Pete Rose and everything. Like there's always some sort of deep scandal where the government has to step in. And baseball, I'll say this much: for a boring sport, quote unquote boring sport, they have a lot of action. There's a lot of action in the boring sport. I mean, I don't know about you, right? I plan on tuning into more baseball this year. This is definitely something that I want to see. Like it's must see TV. But Jude, let me ask you this, because you and I have gone back and forth about gambling.
Yes, we have.
And what gambling is doing to sports. Now, I'm of the stance to say there's nothing wrong with sports gambling, but I'm also of the stance and of the belief that the legality of sports gambling has opened up the underbelly, and we're seeing a lot more where it feels like these teams or organizations may have some doubts. Like, hey, this was a good idea until until now. We got the Jacksonville Jaguars guy stealing $20 million. You got Calvin Ridley, betting on sports. You had like 4 Detroit Lions suspended. You got false players suspended. You got players arguing with fans about about parlays and stuff like that, and people getting threats. It's getting nasty.
Yeah,
it's getting nasty.
And I do want.
So, to you, Jude.
Yeah. Oh,
no,
that's my question. I mean,
no, let me get the question up. My question to you is this: if this is tied to show deeper, like in the way most people suspect, what do you personally think is going to happen with legalized gambling in sports in general?
Well, let's assume that just for like the sake, so Shohei's using this guy as a proxy to place bets. And like this sports book, apparently there might be placing bets in Japan too and all this stuff. Let's just assume he's using this guy as a proxy. Case is gone, but it's going to be a very, I think this might be one of the things that I think it would be hard to really just stop the legalization train. You see so many states.
Yeah, they've gone too far already.
Rolling out with it so quickly. Like 2019, there was like New Jersey, Nevada. 2020 was like a couple more states, 5, 7 states. When in 2024, there's 30 states. So it's more likely it's going to go to all 50 than it is going to go down. What I think should happen is that they need to stop advertising for it. Like they need to treat it like cigarettes and stop advertising every fucking minute. That's the problem. It's like you see it on every single fucking channel you go to. You see it on trains. You see it on billboards. You see it everywhere. Another thing, and I've been reading up on this a little bit too, they have to watch the language when they talk about it. I think Reese Davis, I don't know if you saw Matty in case, he got in trouble today about the fact because he was talking with someone on ESPN Bet, which is now also a sports book apparently, from like Barstool Sportsbook, and he was like, "Oh yeah, this is a risk-free betting and all that stuff." And here's the thing: nothing's risk-free with anything, with any investment, especially gambling. That's not risk-free. So he got something from someone because he went on Twitter and been like, "Nope, I'm sorry for using risk-free. I didn't mean it. It was like a joke." All of that stuff. So that's the thing. It's like I don't think it's going to stop. I think they're going to heavily curtail certain aspects. I wouldn't be surprised if some states opt for going more brick and mortar, as in you can bet legally on sports, but you can't have it on your phone anymore. I can kind of see that happening. It depends on how severe it gets. I will say that, just to speak more on Shohei Ohtani's case, I think he's such a high-profile player that if he has any dubious involvement beyond like paying his friend off or like paying his friend's debt, like if his interpreter was his proxy, I think this would be one thing that would really change the landscape of everything moving forward. You can't escape from your biggest star player, international star player, using his friend as proxy bets for a bookie. You just can't. You just can't. Especially if he was betting on baseball. And, I mean, I made it clear I was not betting on baseball, but I mean, we'll find out soon enough.
Yeah, it's the fact that in California it's just illegal in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the thing as well.
Well, that's the thing. Like I understand what Jude is saying with the No, sorry, I'm sorry. It's a little delay. It's a little delay. I understand what Jude was saying when it comes to like the PSA anti-cigarette thing, and they're not going to they're going to change the way they advertise. But that's just for guys like us, right? Like when we hear risk-free betting, we know what it is, like bonus cash and stuff like that, yada yada yada. They're not going to get to the fine print of what risk-free betting is. That's what you do when you actually log into the apps and put your money up and stuff like that. But what I'm speaking of specifically are the athletes and associates tied into teams and their activity gambling and what that means to owners and organizations, because this is not.
Oh no, I was going to say
this is not me stealing from my employer to go bet on FanDuel. This is an employer of Jacksonville, an employer of a superstar baseball player, employee of NFL team, employees in fact doing that. So to regular Joe Schmoes, guys like us, I get that aspect when you make that point, Jude. But I think that since we haven't really seen that, and this has been going, like we had this discussion about how long gambling has been going on, and I brought up the Atlantic City thing and how the falsehood of gambling is supposed to make your city prosperous. It doesn't. It actually does the opposite. It's a trickle down thing. It doesn't really help, right? I've been to Atlanta several times. If you're on the Strip, it looks nice. One block outside the Strip is Degenerate City. It's terrible. Yeah. Right. Right. It's not a reckless. You've been to Vegas. You've been to the next part of Vegas, or you've been to old Las Vegas. It's just how it looks, right? But my concern is, are NFL owners, MLB owners, NBA owners, NHL owners gonna look at this and look, we don't want no parts of this. Like, you guys can gamble, but athletes, you're done. You're restricted. We don't care. As long as you're employed by NBA, NHL, MLB, NBA, you're not allowed to gamble. Yeah.
Now, here's the thing, though. These leagues are so embedded with these sports betting companies now at this point. Like, that's the thing. It's like they're getting like I get what you're saying, Case, but on a perverse level, it's more likely that they're going to start having athletes being like, "Hey, you can bet on us to really cover the spread for you guys, to win the game and whatnot." It's more likely they get these athletes to like start advertising for sports betting than it is for them to like completely curtail them, because these leagues are so embedded with them. Like, think about 2019. You barely saw any teams like have FanDuel, DraftKings, all that stuff. Now it's everywhere on their stadiums. It's everywhere in like the shows, the affiliate shows, all of that stuff. So it's like I see the pendulum swinging heavily the other way, to be honest. I think they'll have it so that these athletes cannot bet, like you said, they probably cannot bet at all on like the sport they're playing. But what's to stop them from like, hey, I'm Calvin Ridley. I'm with the tight. Well, you want to support the Grizzlies? Bet on the Grizzlies for this much or whatnot. You know, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. I just
and I'm gonna give Matty the final thought on that, because again, I get that aspect of what you're trying to say, but my thing is, I look at it like this. I work. Let's say, for example, use me. I work for MSG, right? I can't so I go to a game, and they select my seat to shoot for $50,000. I can't win because I'm an employee. I'm disqualified from the contest because that's a part of the fine print is you can't win contests if you are part of the organization. I think gambling on a whole is something to say you just can't participate, period, as an employee, as an athlete, because there's going to be some level of conflict. You know what I mean? Like imagine you being LeBron and you're good friends with somebody, but hey, you know what? Yo, I need you to. I may not be betting on basketball tonight, but I might bet on football. And like, hey, Pat, you know, I need 3 touchdowns tonight, not 2. You know, you got to really try for that 3. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I don't know. I just feel like there's levels to it. But Matty, final thoughts before we move to the next topic.
Yeah, no, I have final thought on both of what you guys mentioned. So Jude mentioned that the league is so embedded with it. So going back to the Ohtani thing, Ken Rosenthal was reporting on the Ohtani case, and under the screen was a ticker, and it was sponsored by BetMGM. So it was just like hilarious, just like there's like no self-awareness of like what they're doing.
Yes.
And then Case with your point, when what people don't realize is that when, you know, first maybe it's just $1,000 for these athletes, and then all of a sudden it's a couple $100,000, and then you have the case with Ohtani where it's a couple million. It's a lot easier to be like, hey, how about you score under 20 points tonight? Or hey, how about you strike out 3 times tonight and we'll call it clear, instead of, you know, paying me back the money, because the bookies in that case will see it more advantageous, because not only will they make their money back, but they can, you know, reach out to other people and, you know, hedge their bets to make even more of a profit. So that's where that line of fixing props and I think props are one of the biggest downfalls too for gambling. But I think in the end, that's where the dangerous territory of fixing the games can come in if this doesn't get handled, you know, appropriately.
Yeah, especially when that's a great point, man. Especially when you're down. I remember looking at a documentary a couple of months ago, like, what was it, Bad Sport? And they did that shit with college kids too. It's like, hey, why don't you score this much or that? And it's so like, once someone's like down 4.5 million or whatever, I mean, if there was like you said, a couple 100,000, whatever, they probably aren't even entertaining it. But I have 4.5 million, no matter how much you make, that's a pretty significant amount that you might.
That's breaking life type of money there.
Yes, and that's the thing too. It's like, I get what Case is saying with how legalizing sports betting may have like opened up that criminal element, but at the same time, it's like that criminal element probably is even more prevalent. If it's one of those things. It's like, is it a good thing they legalize it? Because it's like you avoid the bookies for like the regular Joe Schmoes. Like now you're avoiding the bookies and your legs aren't getting broken. But at the same time, it's just like, I guess now people are more emboldened to like steal money from their employers to fuel their addictions.
You got to look at it like a high roller. You got to look at it like a high roller table, right? Like, I don't know if anyone read the story about Jamal Crawford and how he was gambling with Michael Jordan, and he said he will never gamble with Michael Jordan again. Apparently, Jamal Crawford, and I want, if you're watching the show, look it up. Jamal Crawford has a story about him gambling with Michael Jordan. He got in a little bit too deep, and he owed somebody money, and they were after him, and he was a rookie still. And Jordan was not giving him the money, to not bailing him out, right? And Crawford had to go to a teammate like, yo, I need this money. They might kill me, you know? So there, and we know the Antoine Walker story. He said his downfall also was gambling with Jordan and playing these high roller tables and stuff like that and losing a lot of money doing that. And we know the Jordan controversy, whether or not he was secretly suspended by the league in the 90s and everything like that. So we know the underbelly of the high roller. But we didn't hear numbers. Like, we didn't hear Jordan amassed a $10 million, you know, bet or debt or whatever. but we're hearing numbers now, and this is what I'm trying to say, Jude. Like you had mentioned Donahue in the Tim Donahue in the group chat. He didn't make he didn't earn $1 million or $2 million. It's documented. I think it was up to like maybe 300,000-400,000. He didn't make the money he possibly could have made now in 2024 with the legalization because of how big the sport is, how televised is, how many people are betting now. I think what people have to understand also with the legalized gambling, it makes the pots even bigger. Like in comparison to say, hey, I can gamble in this state, but now imagine 20 states gambling on the same game. Those pots are huge. Even we have profited slightly when we're like, when we bet for the field goal. What was the field goal every game? And people were hitting big. People hit way bigger than we were hitting. People were hitting, tens of thousands of dollars, and the payouts were huge. So that's what I'm alluding to. It's not just the fact that it's happened before. Yeah, I agree with you. Illegal gambling has definitely been a problem. And you're right. You do overstep the bookies, and you don't have to worry about getting your legs broke. But in this Shohei case, if they or him wanted to gamble that badly in California, that they hired a bookie, who also name is Matt, by the way, to make these.
Is it you, Matt? are you coming on the? Did you decide to escape and come on the show? What do you know?
I did watch. I've been watching The Sopranos, so I mean, I know.
This just in. MLB, we have the real Matty right here.
And my podcast has the exclusive.
Right. Yeah. We beat the Jets beat by a mile, country mile, if we ever had
that. I want to say one last thing too. And you made a point about like people getting threats or whatnot. It's so crazy. It's like it's with gambling, it's also with fantasy too. You'd be surprised how many people are like, oh my God, why did you score like X amount of points? You deserve a funeral or something. It's crazy. It's like people who invest so much money into this and they're like blaming players and like messaging them. It's like I get like if you play it and you're frustrated at someone, but it's like stop messaging. They don't fucking care about you. Just stop. They're more likely to air you out than just be like, oh, I'm so sorry. Let me give you some money. Like stop. So that was the only thing I wanted to say about that.
But shout out to Joel. Every day, Joel Metz is dropping bets all day in our Discord. So shout out to him. We're not against gambling. Like we're not anti-gamble. We're just like I'm just like, hey, look, it's getting a little seedy. But moving along, where a lot of people are gambling, March Madness. Of course, March Madness. One thing I'll say, I would never bet on college. Like betting on college is so, especially March Madness. You can either cash out big one night and then fail the very next day. Like it's just too big to cash out. But I haven't been watching March Madness. I've been queued up the stories. Of course, we'll talk about the team from Oakland, Michigan.
Your boy
knocking off who was it? It was Kansas.
It was
Kentucky.
Yeah, it's Kentucky. Yeah, Kentucky.
Who was it? Kentucky.
Yep.
NC State, of course, Jude alma mater, doing what they're doing. But let's start off with that. March Madness. Let's jump right into it. Jude, alumni from NC State, go Wolfpack. They're in the Sweet 16. How do you feel?
First time since 2015. I feel pretty good about it. I mean, honestly, in college sports, I haven't been watching like crazy since I left college, so I'll keep in touch here and there. I'll look at the Pac Pride page and all of that stuff to see what's going on. So, like, I saw like NC State was like pretty much out of it, like late in the season. They lost like what 6 out of their last 10 regular season games, something crazy like that. I was like, oh shit! And I thought, okay, they won their first 2 games in the tournament, but it was like the early games, the Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm like, okay. When they beat Duke, because I was like, oh. Okay, they beat Duke. That's surprising. But then as an NC State fan, it's like we're superstitious ourselves. So we're like, okay, they beat Duke or UNC. That means they're going to lose the next game too. When they hit that buzzer beater against UVA, I'm like, oh shit, this could probably be real over here. And then beating UNC for the ACC tournament, I'm like, wow. And keep in mind, NC State's very similar to the Jets, minus the fact they have slightly more recent championships. But like their last championship, what ACC tournament was like 1987. Their last national title was like 1983. So here, seeing that happen, it's like, oh wow, this is like a legitimately incredible run. And then DJ Horn's doing his thing. A couple of our other players. I'm gonna be honest. I'm a bad fan. I don't know much of their names besides the big number 30 guy. That's the only guy I know because I see him on the TV and everything. I'm like, damn, this guy's huge as shit. So it's like he's doing good. Got some good shooters. They beat Case's favorite team. They beat Texas Tech. So at least they got your boy out of here, Case. So you can't slander me for the Reds from March Madness because they got your boy out of here. And we'll see what happens. They could potentially have an Elite Eight
Wolfpack, baby.
Dude. Yes. That's my only take about March Madness. Really, it's just NC State. That's just a great run. Like, legitimately, like, even if you're not a State fan, it's legitimately, like, one of the better runs you'll see in tournament history, most likely. Your thoughts, Matt?
Jump in, man. I know you've been watching a little bit more, Matty, than me. I haven't watched at all, so jump in.
Yeah, no. So I'm a Rutgers College fan. So they obviously they didn't make it this year. It was a bridge year. So kind of doing actually that Jets connection. Next year, Rutgers has the number 2 and number 3 prospect in the country. And then they have a couple more top 100s. So it's like, so it's actually Ron Harper's youngest son, Dylan. He's the number 2. And then the number 3 prospect is Ace Bailey. They played, I think they played AAU together and they were on some national teams. So they decided to do like kind of like that Fab Five sort of thing and like team up together. And so that kind of reminds me, like, they're going to go to the NBA, their top 3 prospects. So like next year is like their run. So when I watch the tournament, I kind of just root for the underdogs. I root for locals and I root for, my boys, whoever teams they like. So one of my best friends from college, he's a Dukes fan. So I root for Duke. Jude, you're from NC State. So I'm in the Wolfpack this offseason and you're watching the game the other night. Every time they give, so I think number 30's name DJ Burns. So future, he should be a lineman for the Jets. Every time he got the ball, literally backing down, like the announcer at one point was like, "How is there no foul call?" Because the amount of power he was throwing back.
Yeah,
and the crowd was just going nuts. And so I mean, the tournament's fun for me, especially now with the NIL, is because you're seeing a lot of these kids that are losing scholarship spots to the next upcoming, kids. They're able to go to another school. I think someone from Oregon the other day, they transferred from the school, one of the schools that they were at previously, and the guy, I think it might be Cousinard. He dropped like 40 points, and so from what I've noticed so far, though, is that the top teams, so the Connecticut's, the Purdue's, I mean Duke is, well, I think they're 4 this year, but they're still a team with top talent. They're steamrolling. I haven't seen a team yet, a Cinderella story, but from what I'm seeing, like right now, it's looking like it's going to be one of a Power 5 team this year. Like I said, I'm a Rutgers fan, so they're from Big Ten. Purdue, they've had Zach Edey, I guess I forgot what country he's from, or if he's even from a different nationality, but they compare him to Yao Ming because he's like 7'3", 7'4". They've been stacking up a couple of these. They've been looking for this run for a year now, so I think it's going to be between them, UConn, North Carolina. But I mean, if the Wolfpack could slide in there to a couple more upsets, who knows?
Yeah, that would definitely be something. If you see NC State in the Final Four, I would be. I mean, I just like next season their home opener. I'd be down there if that happened because that would just be incredible. Donate my paycheck to the NIL. No, not my paycheck, but you get what I'm saying. Like, it would be something else. Like, it would be amazing for sure. I know Case is excited that his biggest fan, his hater, is gone from the tournament now.
Hell yeah. Jack Gohlke, get your ass back into the basement, right? Back into the encounter room. You know what I mean? let me explain my hate for Jack. I don't know Jack Gohlke. It's not like it's personal or anything like that. It's just you know what's funny? We often talk about the ages of players, right? And guys who should be out of college by now. We know the COVID year and the transfer and stuff like that. When I found out that first of all, Jack Gohlke looks old, but then I found out he was born in 1989. He's 24. He'll be 25 this year, and the way he was speaking after about we're not a Cinderella. I mean, come on. The thing for me, the whole premise of NCAA basketball and being a Cinderella team is that you're from this unknown school like Oakland. That checks off. And normally you are maybe an older team. When I say older team, maybe like 21, 22, because you got some 4-year
normal
guys.
College age, yeah.
Right, because normally all the one and dones are out by like 19 years old, right? All the good players are 18, 19, maybe even 20 out of the league. They're out, they're going to the league. So those Cinderella teams often do have older players. But I'm like, this guy's like a 5th, 6th-year senior. You know what I mean? His hairline's receding. And the thing is, he's not a baller like, yo, this is all he does. The man took 327 3-pointers, right?
That's insane.
In a season. So he's a 25-year-old specialist. Bro, if you don't get your ass to the G League or go to Europe or go somewhere and let these kids play fucking basketball, we're not a Cinderella and all that stuff, and then he got like a TurboTax NIL. Of course he got the TurboTax NIL. You look like a fucking accountant, bro. Like, Jesus. Save the fun stuff and the dreams for the kids, okay? It's for the kids. It just felt wrong celebrating this grown-ass man playing against a bunch of true freshmen. Like, John Calipari must be
Kentucky.
Right.
The funny thing is, that would have been more fun matchup. Yeah, that would have been a fun matchup. NC State versus Kentucky. That would have been much more fun than it was a tough game versus Oakland, but just like for the name value and everything, that would have been fun. I have a question for you, Case. Who do you hate more, this guy or Paul Millsap?
That's tough because me and Paul Millsap's rivalry is that's
Paul Millsap thing.
The Paul Millsap. Matty don't know the Paul Millsap thing. I just don't like Paul. I don't. What is it? I don't like the cut of his jib. That's what me and Paul Millsap. I don't like his face. I don't like the fact that he has like a beard here and no mustache or whatever it is. I just don't like his face. That's all it is. It's personal. I remember when he played for Utah, he was like I think it was him and Derek Favors and stuff like that. He always played the Knicks tough. But I think most of it, I never liked Paul Millsap because he always played the Knicks really hard. And it felt like he didn't play anybody else tough but the Knicks. But this guy Gohlke, man, that just pissed me off, bro. Because it's like when I was watching, like when you watch NCAA basketball and you see the young kids and they're from this no-name school and they're like, man, this is my only shot to be seen on television. And the further I go, maybe I have a shot to go to the NBA. Jack already noticed. He already said, I have no shot at the NBA. He already knows. This is the mountain top. This is the fucking pinnacle for him. And thank God NC State did the right thing and got these dudes the fuck out of here because ain't no way I wanted to see Jack Gohlke for another friggin' week playing the Sweet 16, playing in Elite 8. The story's over. I still think though because he shoots a bunch of threes, I still think it's possible he could be a walk-on type G League type dude because NBA is about shooting, so it's not impossible. But if you haven't made it this far, go somewhere, man. Get out of here, Jack. Hit the road, Jack. That's what I'm pushing up for. Hit the road, Jack. Let me fix that. Let me fix that right now.
Did you see the amount of 2-pointers that he attempted this year, like inside the 3-point line?
7.
Like what, 10? Oh, not even 10. 7. Oh, 8.
7.
I was just looking up his stats because, like you mentioned, like I wanted to see like what his shooting percentage is. So his 3-point percentage is 37.6, which I guess is pretty decent. I guess if you're taking that every shot is a 3, and this is career, and his regular field goal percentage is 37.9. So it's like
So like, bro, like you're, and the funny thing is, he was 6 for 17. He had 22 points, all 17 attempts with 3-pointers, and I'm just like, yo, yeah, at least he knows his bread and butter, right? I'm going to shoot threes. You know what I mean? He made 18. He made 18 points from 3. He made 4 free throws. At least he knows what his bread and butter is. But let the kids have their fun, okay? You know, let the kids have their fun. Diaper daddy doesn't apply to you.
My senior year, I mean, football is earlier than the basketball, but I played my senior year at 21 years old. And this dude is playing at 24 years old. I can only imagine the physical. I mean, he doesn't go in the paint, but like I can only imagine the physical advantage of playing freshman kids. If I was able to play just one more year, this dude is playing 3 years older than I was against kids literally coming out of high school. Like I feel like I would hate him more to win that game, dude. Like you're 7 years old.
I feel like if you were like in the paint and he's like dunking on people and he's like obnoxious about it, I'd more get the hate. Like if he was in the paint all the time and just dunking on them, I'd be like, yeah, just stop talking. But it's like anyone can shoot threes decent enough. It's just he just shoots threes and he's kind of talkative after the game.
Yeah, bro, I don't. It wasn't the talkative stuff. I don't even care. It's just like I just know that the NCAA tournament, when especially when it comes to the 64, it's really about these 18 to 22-year-old kids, and these Cinderella teams are usually like a team like Oakland, who have this maybe a third year guy, a junior, a fourth year guy. Because even when Baylor was going deep into the tournament, or they were older team, but they weren't that much older, right? And again, like I said, this is their shot. Like a lot of for one, it's your shot to put your school on the map, and for two, it's a shot to say, hey, you may not even been a draft pick. Maybe you might be a second round pick. You might be a second round pick, maybe. But this man is talking like, listen, I know this is it for me. I'm not going to the league. Like, no shit, bro. You'll be 25 this year. Like, let the kids have it. But it's all in fun. I don't hate Jack Gohlke. It's fun. This is, topical observation. Shout out to Oakland. You lost to the better team. Go Wolfpack. The women are doing their thing. LSU. Well, I think they were about they were down by 4 today at half, and ended up winning by 30. Really? Yeah, they won like 30 today.
Those first round matchups in the women's are absolutely non-competitive every year.
Brutal.
That's why my mom
have some interesting. Yeah.
I'm just going to say quick that my mom even said, because she was like, "Did you know that they put LSU and Iowa in the same bracket?" And I was like, "Well, they're doing that because they want to make sure that they play." That's like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So go ahead, Jude.
Yeah. Oh no, I was going to say LSU might have some interesting. Go on.
Look ahead, you go ahead.
I was going to say LSU might have some interesting stuff coming out in the next couple of days with that Washington Post report. When the woman she denied everything that's coming out, something that hasn't even come out yet. So she's not suspicious.
Oh, the head coach.
Yeah.
Yes.
The head coach. What's her name?
Kate.
What's her name?
Is it Mulkey, right?
Something like, bro, is a preemptive denial is the funniest thing ever. Like,
you better hope it's not true.
Yeah, you hope it's not true. But preemptive denial is so. But there's a lot of controversy surrounding her, from what I've heard from my boy Chris Williamson, who's definitely extensively covered NCAA women's and WNBA. But the Caitlin Clark in Iowa and Angel Reese and LSU being in the same bracket was a no-brainer because of what happened last year, and also the fact that when they both go to the league, they're gonna. I'm telling people they're gonna market this like Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. That these two collegiate rivals.
The best thing for them.
It's the best thing for them to say these are the two best collegiate teams. Make sure they get drafted by two separate teams in the East and the West, and that it's possible that they face each other somewhere down the line in the finals. It'll be great for the WNBA to make sure this happens in that way, because for the league to continue to grow, they're going to need great rivalries like this, and for other people to want to invest and get new teams. I believe they're making a Miami team. and possibly a Seattle team. I heard they're supposed to be making a Seattle franchise, a Miami franchise. So I'm hoping that the WNBA continues to grow as well as the women's sport. Go ahead, Jude.
I was gonna say as well. I saw a funny tweet like maybe a few months ago where someone was just randomly standing Caitlin Clark for some reason, saying she hasn't played tough opponents or some BS criticism, and someone said the truest thing is like, I'm so glad people are just slandering her game instead of slandering her for being a woman, and that's just like how far the sport's growing, and it's like it's amazing just to see like how far like, WNBA has been growing over the last couple of years or so, where instead of like, oh my god, the women's playing basketball, this shit sucks. Now I've seen a lot of people tweeting about it more than like college basketball, for being honest.
I feel like they've had like a golden age of girls coming out. Like you got Sabrina, that was the former Kobe protege, right? She was in his trained by him in his camp. The New York Liberty was getting a few women that were coming out like huge college stars, and you still have those old those veterans that are classics that we grew up with. So putting in this new fresh blood, I feel like they just got to do a better advertising. Like Case said, you get that rivalry, kind of like WWE style, where you set up a storyline. That's what you really got to do.
Yeah. I mean, listen, the NBA is built off of storylines, right? Like everything we discuss. Like, I don't know what the storyline for the NBA is this year, seeing as the Lakers aren't doing what the league needs them to do, which is be really good. And your best KC Thunder, right? So, well, I mean, of course, in Denver, of course, the repeat champions. And the fact that Jokic doesn't necessarily want to be the face of the league necessarily, like he just enjoys playing and not being in the spotlight. You're not really getting much of a story, right? And no one wants to give the Knicks any credit for being this good.
Say it should be the Knicks,
right. No one wants to give them they're trying. Like shout out to Kendrick Perkins, who's trying his best to make them talk about the Knicks more, and Jalen Brunson. But it seems like the media in the league does not want the Knicks to do well, and they don't want to talk to them. I'm not saying this as a Knicks fan. I'm just saying, like, they're men's outside of Jack Gohlke in Oakland. There's not much storyline there either. So now it's really the women and what they got going on, and hopefully WNBA, and they need to ride this fucking thing all the way through, because this is the right time. It's the perfect time to get hot, because the NBA is not really, there's no major storyline that we're talking about. Like the MVP may be SGA, right? He definitely should be the MVP, seeing that OKC was even projected to be where they're at, and they're competing with Denver. And it just looks really good right now for the women's sports. So we'll see what happens next. Real quick before we go to the next topic, let's pay some bills. If you are a cool dad or you want to be a cool dad, make sure you shop www.dadsarecool2.com. And of course, use the promo code MIPOD69 and get 10% off. Shop dadsarecool2.com and get 10% off of your purchase, and be as cool as a dad. Me. Also, are you feeling low? Are you feeling tired? Get your energy up. Grab a dubby. Dub it. Be better. A Judes energy blend. if you need a dub, grab a dubby.
Get that dubby. Wait, what was the line? If you want a chubby, get a dubby. I forgot what it was. I think that was the one. If you want a chubby, get a dubby.
if you want
I forget which one it was, but it was something along those lines. Point is, get the dubby.
Chubby, get a dubby.
That was like a chubby.
That was Juice promo. Get a dubby, get 10% off with our promo code MIPOD59. Dubby energy drink. Judes energy blend. They have shaker bottles, they have powders, and I think they have carbonated drinks. I had to reorder my brand again, so I'm sorry guys. I'm going to have my Dubby stuff. I'm going to tell you how it is, do an official review, but they are one of our sponsors. But moving on to our next topic, let's talk about Deion Sanders' comments. Now, shout out to the litter box, Tina and the litter box crew. If you ever see in my pod in a space early in the morning from like 8 o'clock in the morning, that is me. I've been invited like every day, 5 days a week to the litter box spaces. We have a lot of conversations, and we were talking about a rumor that Deion Sanders, not even a rumor, I think it was somebody left me the thought that how do we feel about Deion Sanders' possible involvement with his son Shador? Well, it came out from via the I forgot which podcast it came out on. I believe I'm gonna pull up right now what podcast it was on. It was $1 million worth of game. Deion Sanders says that certain teams will be off limits when it comes to drafting not only his son Shador Sanders, but Travis Hunter as well.
Ooh.
He says, and I quote, "I know where I want them to go. There's certain cities where it ain't going to happen. It's going to be an Eli." End quote. Now, we all see what happened with LeVar Ball and Triple B, right? It didn't really pan out the way he thought it was going to be. I think too much parental involvement is a bad thing. But Deion coming out and not only speaking on his son, but also the wide receiver, Travis, what's his name? Travis
Hunter.
Travis Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, Deion, and we've been warned, and certain people we've always been warned about. Deion Sanders is an egotistical human being. I hope we all realize that by now. And I know people want to support Deion Sanders because they feel like he was a black man in HBCU and he ripped and ran to Colorado, and people may feel like he may even stay in Colorado long. That if he has success, maybe he'll run Alabama to one day to replace the replacement for Nick Saban or wherever school he's going to go to make money. But we heard something prior to that. Shador said he didn't want to come out the same year as another quarterback unless he's going to be the number one overall. And this kind of confirms it, what his dad said with this commentary. So, Matty, what do you think about what do you like to call them, helicopter parents when it comes to sports?
I think it's definitely touchy. It depends because sometimes the kids like grow up with it, so they're just used to it, so they'll never push back. And especially, I mean, in the Ball case, it seemed like kids that, I mean, let's face it, I feel like we saw LeVar more than all the sons. Like the sons were never speaking publicly to the media, so it seemed like they just always said yes dad growing up. And I feel like from the Sanders and Hunter's standpoint, though, it's more of my dad's one of the greatest NFL defensive players of all time, so I think he may be listening to him more based on like a career aspect. So I think that's where Shador is following it. So I guess I kind of understand it from that standpoint, but at the same time, you don't want to limit your opportunities or where you can go because like we see it every single year. It happens to us. Our past 3 quarterbacks redrafted. It didn't work out, so you got to find that next opportunity, that next job. If you go out and say that you don't want to play at certain places, what if Shador doesn't work out wherever he works? Wherever he gets drafted, he's limiting himself in his next opportunity, and not only does that limit his opportunities to get like a backup or starting role at the new point, but it limits his money because the amount of teams that are interested in him are limited as well. So I just don't like. I understand. The parents want what's best for him. So Deion was in the league. He doesn't want his son to. We say the biggest thing with quarterback prospects is situation. You want to go to the right situation, especially one with a lineman and a good offense, because you don't want your son to deep down also have a career-ending injury or something that paralyzes him for life. If he's taken he's taken too many hits already at Colorado. I saw it this entire year. So but at the same time, just for me personally, I was in a town that had, some parents that, outspoke for their kids. I would always, if my mom would always would want to speak up, I would just want to chill, like let your play speak for itself, and anything extracurricular, when it happens, let it happen. So that's how I look at it. It's definitely, tough from a situation to situation.
Mm. I will say with Deion Sanders, I mean, I think so many times we get used to these quarterbacks either leaking or just outright making, oh, I'm not going to play here. I'm not going to play there. All this blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, what? This isn't 2004 anymore. You don't have Eli Manning's last name. Yes, Deion Sanders was one of the greatest in like NFL history as a quarterback, but even then, I am pretty sure that Shador himself probably doesn't have that pull, like Eli did, because he had Peyton Manning like a couple years before him. So it's like it's easier at that pull. You have that legendary name. You have a brother that's doing well. I don't think Shador is going to have that pull, and I think a lot of these players just gotta play with. I know this is going to sound super boomerish of me, but you just gotta play where you're drafted and hope you get enough time for a second contract somewhere else. That's all that's going to happen, because it's like I don't want to go to this organization. It's so bad. Of course, they're fucking bad. They're picking at the top of the draft. If they were a good organization, they would not be picking up there. They would be picking below. You're going to go to a bad organization more often than not, unless it's just like a really, like the Chiefs just have a bad injury. They're like, fuck it. Put Blaine Gabbert in there. He wins 2 games.
The Niners, the one year with Lance, yeah.
Yeah.
They drafted him.
So that's pretty much what it is. Like, unless a good team has a bad injury and everyone sucks, you're going to go to a bad team. Just deal with it. Make them better. That's what every NFL player wants to do. Make the team better. That's all people ask of you. So just do that. And he said that for Deion. He said that for his son and Travis Hunter too. That's kind of crazy, to be honest. You're doing it for 2 people now, not just your son, but 2 people. Okay. Travis Hunter has even less of a case. Like, does he have a father in the NFL that I don't know about? I don't think so. So it's just like
he doesn't even know what position he's going to play yet. He plays corner and receiver. So
right, he's a two-way. He's a two-way guy. He could go anywhere. Here's my thing. I'm gonna play a little devil's advocate. I am not a fan of the draft process in itself like I used to be. Because I just do a little research. I'm not a fan of the draft process. I think the draft should be treated as free agency, and teams should have an allotted pool of money to say what they can afford based off of projections, whatever the case may be. And I say this because that would eliminate conversations like this, right? Should Shador want to go to a team he wants to go to? Absolutely. Why not? Right? But the draft is to help teams who are kind of like behind the 8 ball. But, we talk about tanking. We talk about poor ownership. We talk about poor GMs. And sometimes teams hit the lottery. And, it's because, like, look at Houston, right? Houston was on their way. Like, not when I say out, when I'm gonna say out, it's like they were in bad, like in dire straits. Like things were bad, from Bill O'Brien to hiring David Culley, to hiring Lovie Smith. Pretending like they weren't trying to make some quota to hire McNown, to dry rubbing Deshaun Watson. They hired the right GM, they hired the right coach, they made the right move, and they got lucky that Carolina really, really wanted to get Bryce Young, right? Houston picked second to get CJ Stroud, and their franchise fortune has turned around. Carolina, however, poorly ran franchise, trading with Chicago, their wide receiver, to get this pick. No first-round draft pick in this year's draft. No offensive line. Bryce Young is getting sacked, he got sacked like 62 times or some wild shit like that last season. And they have a lot more to build. And we're looking at Bryce Young like, damn, is he a bust? And it might be because of the situation. He might have fared better if he got drafted by Houston. So to play devil's advocate, if there was a choice to go to, Bryce Young would be like, nah, I'm not going to Carolina. I don't want to go play for Carolina. This situation is fucked up. I shouldn't want to have to play there. And CJ Stroud may or may not have chosen Houston, but Houston did enough the prior year to say, hey, we have some spot, some some places on our roster that look good, right? So that's me playing devil's advocate, just to say if guys are treated like free agents, they can go wherever they want. Deion has a leg to stand on. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a leg to stand on. And the problem with the Eli thing that he said, the Manning family is a football family. And there aren't a lot of black football families in the league, right? And there is no black quarterback football family in the league. Archie Manning was looked at as a sob story. He got drafted by the wrong team, which was the New Orleans Saints, who were garbage. And they felt like this guy who played the college and he was supposed to be so good. And he was supposed to be this dude. He got drafted by the wrong team. They never did right by him. And they put him in the Hall of Fame. That's how bad they felt for Archie Manning. They put him in the Hall of fucking Fame. Which is ridiculous. They put him in the Hall of Fame. God awful and put him in the Hall of Fame because they felt bad for him, not because he was good, because they felt that he wasn't done right. He has sons. He has I think 3 or 4 sons, whatever. He has Arch. He has Peyton. He has Eli. I think there's another one, right? Peyton is Cooper. Yeah, Cooper. Peyton comes out. He's the next coming. So if you like Peyton, wait till Eli comes. And then when Eli comes in the league, he's going to get drafted by San Diego. And San Diego wasn't a bad organization. It wasn't a bad franchise.
They had Drew Brees. Didn't they have Drew Brees at the time? They had Drew Brees.
Yeah, he got hurt. And then I guess that kind of stemmed into, it's a bad organization. Drew Brees. Look at him. He's hurt.
We don't want to go to we don't want to go to San Diego. We want to be in New York. But you have football royalty ahead of you. And you got to do right by football royalty, right? That was a power play. That wasn't necessarily something to say, oh, that's the case. John Elway held out from his situation, right? And I think he really went and said, yeah, I'm going to go play baseball. I'm going to go play for the Yankees. Screw y'all. You know what I mean? I'm not going to play down. They got him to come play football, but even that situation was hairy. But it's only a couple of times that's happened where a guy says, I'm not going to play for a team, and it worked out. What Deion is doing, and this is the dangerous precedent, and this is with the Triple B thing, as Black, African American, whatever you want to call yourselves, in the sports league, with fans that are predominantly white, you have to be careful with how you move around. Because if you move around like it's something, and they're going to be the first ones to say cocky, arrogant, doesn't deserve it, X, Y, and Z, boo, 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 boo.
The root for your downfall.
Right, but even though we watch Eli do it and his family, watch John Elway do it. So I'm not saying Deion shouldn't do it. I'm just saying you just understand what your base is. What they're going to do to your son or say about your son, what they've already said about you and how you handle yourself. You're not setting them up for success. You're setting them up for a headache. Now, does the league, the NFL, want to appease Deion Sanders? Why should they? Why should they? Yes, he's a Hall of Fame cornerback, but he's not a quarterback. He's not a quarterback. And did Deion kind of do the same thing in Atlanta? Yeah, kind of. He did say, he did? During his, I think maybe like in the middle of the Atlanta, or I think it was the Atlanta Falcons season. He said, look, I'm going to go play baseball. But that was a contract dispute. It's not the same as a draft. That was a contract dispute. Listen, if you don't pay me, I'm going to go play baseball. And he went to play baseball. And then he got it in his contract with Dallas to still play baseball. So I'm not saying Deion hasn't done anything to prove that he can negotiate his own thing. He has, but you're on that slippery slope right now. And I don't know how people are feeling you right now yet, Deion. And then he also put in the fate of somebody else who I don't think Travis Hunter's his adopted son, who he has guarding or parental rights over this kid.
Who knows?
Like, who knows, right? Over his parents said, look, I'm going to sign over his NFL rights to you, and you could, be his agent. I don't know. But he's serving a lot of masters right now. And it's just hey, man, I want to see the black man win. I want to see him do his thing. I want to see these kids win and come out there and play. But just know the playing field isn't even. And it for the LeVar Balls of the world, and people admire them, you kind of put your kids in a bad position in an arena where you're wanted, but you're not wanted. You feel me? Like, you just got that wink wink is like, hey, Colin Kaepernick.
LeVar Ball, I haven't heard from him in a while, Actually, it's kind of crazy. Like he was really
his
popular
sons
like
are,
3-4
you know,
years.
yeah. I mean,
Like LaMelo's his best son, and he's just started dying.
he's always
pretty
hurt.
much.
He's
Lonzo
always hurt.
has a
Yeah.
He's always
career
hurt.
injury.
Leandro's a loser, apparently. You know what I mean? Like he's just like I'm just saying. I'm
Stuff
keeping it
from
real.
China or wherever they were.
Right, Leandro, he can't stay on the team, and he can't keep his weight
Mhm.
keep his weight down. You know what I mean? And your oldest son, who's supposed to be the guy who set this whole thing up, they're saying he may not even play again. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? He's sit out, and right.
Mhm.
So, and you talked a lot of shit. You talked a lot of
Mhm.
shit, and it didn't bring you nowhere. You know what I mean? So it's like it's a slippery slope, man. It's one of those things, and I hate to say it. I
Mhm.
don't want to say it. I refuse to say it, but you have to play the humble game just a little bit, because when we fail dynamically. Like when we fail, we don't feel, oh, you know, he's out the league is nothing. No. If you were talking shit and you fail, oh, that's what you're gonna be
Mhm.
known for. They
Yeah, it's
create
gonna keep
narratives.
coming up.
Yeah, they create narratives like the whole, Carmelo Anthony, George Karl. For a long time, we thought George Karl was right in how his assessment of Carmelo, but then we look back like, oh man, a lot of the players hated George Karl, but we can't talk bad about him now because he's like terminally cancer or something like that. Like we can't badmouth him. Like the man was on his deathbed a couple of times. Like you can't badmouth George Karl now. It's bad optically to badmouth George Karl. You know what I mean in hindsight, but hey, his assessment may have been bad. Even the Allen Iverson practice thing, when they dove deep into that story about his friend dying and stuff like that, like no one cares about that story. They just care about that moment, So
Yeah, I
that's
remember.
what I'm saying.
Yeah, I remember that moment. It's like for the longest time because I wasn't following basketball back then. When I heard that meme, I'm like, oh, he really was talking about practice. But you do some little research, it's like, no, he was talking about someone in his life
Right.
dying. But it's like all you think about is
yeah, you talking about the
all you think
gravity
about is
of
that
life.
practice quote, which is a great quote, by the way. Yes.
It's a perfect quote, but I'm saying you put it in a vacuum, you put it in a bubble, and it just stands with you for the test of time because whatever narrative the people choose to run with is the narrative that's going to stick, and it's hard to escape that narrative. It's hard to escape that dialogue. So I don't know what he's doing. I don't think he should be doing this, but man, it's crazy. We have a couple of more subjects left before we close out. I do have a surprise for you guys.
Uh-oh. Looks pretty good.
So we are doing a giveaway, and we're going to do it tonight. We're going to pick the winner tonight. I was feeling good. I said, hey, man, we got to give away stuff to our patrons. Shout out to our patrons. And I just want to show you guys what we have here to give away. First of all, shout out to Dan Lobags, for taking this beautiful photo.
That's sick.
Gorgeous.
I like to call this one 3 the hard way. Of course, Michael Carter II, Sauce Garner, and DJ Reed. I got this done out. It smells good. It's fresh. 11 by 17 black and white. Yes.
Okay, I wasn't expecting.
Smells like the big
I
three.
wasn't expecting a sniff test.
Oh, hey, bro. This is how we give it up. Now, this is how I like to do with the giveaways. We have the randomizer wheel, the wheel of randomizing. Now, we have 21 patrons. I think we have 11 paid patrons, but only 4 followed the rules and typed "I'm in order to win these posters. And I'm only picking 3 lucky winners. And you guys get to see it right now. So this is what we're going to put in the banner is, hold on, I need 2 hands to type. I'm not that talented. Okay, bear with me. Oh, I spelled time wrong. All right. Put giveaway time. Bam. Giveaway time. Woo, fanfare. All right. So the names that we have are Jeffrey, Rod, Rob, and Chris. Now I'll say this much for Chris. Chris is in the green, Chris Hecker. I don't want to give us the name, but he's a part of All Gas Pod. Chris has won a lot of our contests. You really can't see it clearly. I'm just going to see it clear. Chris, you see now? There you go.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
So Chris is in the green, Rod is in the yellow, Jeffrey's in the red, and Rob is in the blue. There's only going to be 3 winners because it's the title of the poster is 3 the hard way. Let's give it a spin. Go! Who's going to be our first winner?
Big money, big money.
The winner is that's Glenn on Jeffrey.
Jeffrey.
There you go. Our first winner. Congrats to Jeffrey. You are our first winner, and you will receive your poster. I did listen. I am trying. I DM Sauce Gardner. I said, bro, I'm just trying to get an autograph from you. I don't know if he's going to do it, but I'm hoping if I go to training camp and I bring a poster, I get one autograph. Maybe if I get 3 of them to autograph it, I'll do something special. If I get 3 autographs. So if I get Michael Carter, Sauce, and DJ Reed to sign a poster, I'll do something extra special. All right. For the second spin, go.
Round 2.
Round 2. Who it is. And the winner is
Chris.
Chris
That's
is our
lucky guess. That was on
winner.
the border.
Shout out to Chris from All Gas. It was definitely on the border. It was very close, but I don't control the wheel. The wheel controls me. That's 2 down and 1 to go. And we have 2 contestants left. We have Rob, Abstract, and Rob. Rob and Rod. What a moment. What a thrill. Go.
Beavers D.
And the winner is Rod, is our winner. Shout out to Rod in Connecticut. Come on, say it. There you go. And that is it for our giveaway. I am sorry, Rob. I love you, bro. But I am real, and he is my master. So those 3 posters, I'll contact you each and let you know how you will receive your poster. Shout out to y'all. I do have 2 left. We don't know what's going to happen to these 2. Am I keeping one? Will I get these autographs? Who knows? I do not know.
Find out
Let's
next
move on
time
to our final.
Dragon Ball Z.
Find out next time. Final subject: the Jets in what they've done so far. If you are interested in joining our Patreon, click our link tree in our bio at MIPod69. Sign up for at least $1.99, and you can join our Discord. Come in Discord, have a conversation because we get heavy in there. We talk, we argue, we cuss each other out, but it's all love. We don't hate each other. We love each other. It's just a bunch of passionate. Sometimes it's personal, but it's all love. It's all good. We've been talking about this Jets off season ad nauseum, and so far, I'll say so good. So Jude, king of the skepticism, king skeptic.
Well,
how do you feel? Yeah, we're going to you. We're going to you because you didn't want any more of Aaron Rodgers' homeboys, his posse, turn to Phil Jackson.
His interpreter, you didn't want? Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? So you're very vocal, but it seems like you've been pleased by the moves the Jets have made this season. So I'm going to give you the opportunity to redeem yourself.
So now that Kev isn't here, thankfully, I can say that I'm very happy with the Jets' moves. I only wish that they just got Bryce Huff back. That is it. And I know Kev gave me a hard time for mentioning Bryce Huff, but that's the only thing that would make this an A offseason, in my opinion. Because honestly, you give yourself a little flexibility at tackle, you give yourself some flexibility at wide receiver. All these guys are on prove-it deals. It's a prove-it year for everyone. Despite how Salah might be carrying himself like he's untouchable, he's not untouchable. We barely wanted to keep him around. So it's like Salah's not untouchable. JD's not. Joe Douglas isn't untouchable. So they got to go all in, so to speak. And these moves are good enough to go all in. The contracts are reasonable enough. There's no complaints there. So we'll see what happens during the draft. I mean, I personally would sign up for the Jets just still drafting some tackles, only because it's tackles we have right now are good, but it's at least for Tyron Smith, he has a pretty big injury history. So it's if the Jets went with left tackle, I wouldn't mind in the draft. If the Jets wanted to trade up, get both for Marvin Harrison Jr., I wouldn't mind. If they want to stay and get a pass catcher, Brock Bowers, that's another name I've been hearing. wouldn't mind, though there is some controversy about like a tight end at 10 overall. So that's another thing to consider too. But that's my take pretty much. It's like I'm satisfied with the Jets all season. There's nothing more for me to complain about. The off season is satisfying enough. Joe Douglas did his job. He wasn't quite as aggressive the first day as I would like, but he did his job. And see, you're doing this, but Kev's not here to do this, so I can say this in peace and I can move on because I know Kev will be saying something, but thankfully he's being a family man. So I can say what I need to say in peace with no reprisal
Hey, man,
whatsoever.
Kev is going to watch this show and he's going to have his opinion. I'm going to let you live because that is not my job. My job is not to attack you on the show. That's Kev's job, and Kev's not here. So I'm gonna let you live. Kev will be back soon. Matty, how do you feel about the Jets off season so far?
Yes. So I used to be one of those fans that mostly is Jets Twitter, where if we didn't sign someone in the first, couple hours, it's like, what the hell are we doing? So now I think, and a lot of us in the Discord and Rational Jets Twitter is, we got to wait and see until the offseason's over. The offseason isn't done in one day.
Mhm.
So we kind of knew,
Mhm.
even though we would speculate, and we knew we weren't getting Mike Evans, we weren't getting Michael Pittman, we weren't getting T. Higgins. But a lot of the names that we were throwing out there are ones that we liked, and JD finally nailed them down. He got Tyron Smith at his price. He got Mike Williams at his price. I think Tyron Smith didn't visit. I think they did it over the phone because at least what Josina Anderson was saying. So, I mean, he didn't let him get off the phone. He didn't let Mike Williams out the building. Kinlaw. So the offensive, the offensive side, I like it because you're not going to win the season in free agency. What the Jets needed to do was plug in holes in positions of need so that they can go into the draft and take the best player available. Because when you're in a 2-year window, you got to take the best player available who's going to go on the field now and is going to produce for your Hall of Fame quarterback that's here for 2 years. And for these other rookie stud guys that you have on their rookie contracts. On the defensive side, I agree with Jude. If you weren't going to keep Bryce Huff, especially at $17 million per year, which is not terrible at all, and especially the way his contract was structured, I think it's $4 million he's making this year. Tag him and trade him like the Chiefs just did with Snead, and potentially what the Bengals are doing. Get compensation this year so that you can use that draft pick to supplement the win now team. Don't wait for a compensatory pick next year. Next year, that doesn't matter. This season matters. From the other defensive line standpoint, I don't know the dude's name from Arizona, but he looks like he is someone who's just going to clog the hole. A big Samoan dude. Kinlaw, I like because it's kind of what Saleh and San Francisco did in the past. They take these high upside first round draft picks, like Arden Key was another example. Leonard Floyd from the Bears, he had a revival for in the Rams system as well. They take the upside and they try to use a rotation system instead of playing them consistently so that they don't get tired. And when they're in, they can give 100% full effort. I still think they need an extra safety because they like to play with 3 safeties. I don't know if Ashton Davis is a full-time starter. So someone that could come in, maybe Justin Simmons' price comes down and we could get that, that center fielder who could go out and be a ball hawk. And we need another edge rusher to replace, Bryce Huff. And because how they like to rotate their, defensive and edge rushers. And if you could just imagine on rundowns with JFM, Jermaine Johnson and Clowney, who apparently had a really good visit. And then on third down, you could just let Will McDonald come in and just take the pass rushing role instead of getting his body beat up on first and second down. That totally changes the dynamic of the defense. And then on the special team side, bring back Red the Leg, Thomas Moore, which, great to bring back the special teams. That was probably one of the best in a while. So I think overall, the job's not finished yet, but definitely loved how JD is finally approaching, like his seat is on the line for someone with an under 500 record in his 5 years here.
I'm glad that neither one of you mentioned Tyrod.
Well
Taylor.
under
Thank you.
500.
That's actually.
Oh! What happened? What happened?
And we have a
Tyrod.
bad
Oh well, guess what? We're going.
Thank God.
Oh, guess what? We're going to
No.
mention.
No.
We're going to mention Ty God Taylor, not Tyrod Taylor. Ty God, and I'm putting
Future
it right now
franchise
because Kev's not
quarterback
here.
Ty
So
God.
I'm saying Ty God Taylor.
I had to remind you guys to mention Tyrod. So I'm glad we got this on video. I had to remind you guys to mention Tyrod Taylor. But to bounce off of what Matty had to say, Matty, you hit everything on the nose. The interior defensive lineman from Arizona is Leaky Fotu, or whatever his name is. I can't pronounce his name. Kev is good at that. He's better. Kev's out here. That's Kev. That's Kev's bag right there. I'm not gonna lie. Spelling and enunciation is not my thing. But
you need that.
but I'll say this though to what Matty said. The perfect thing that Matty said was you're getting guys that's going to maximize your window for the people who are on a rookie contract and the new guys you have coming in. And this is why drafting a tackle at 10 makes no sense. Drafting a tackle at 10, especially regardless if you feel like it's not if it's Fashanu, if it's Mims, whoever it is, drafting a tackle at 10 makes no sense because you're not going to play him. You didn't give Tyron an incentive-laden contract worth almost $20 million to bring in a rookie to sit behind him. You're not thinking about 2030. You're thinking about 2024 and 2024 alone. If you're going to draft a tackle, you might as well trade out of 10, trade back, and get the tackle that you want to draft for the future, and hopefully a second round pick attached to that, and move forward. But don't sit in a premium spot and tell me you're drafting a tackle when Brock Bowers is there, or you're drafting a tackle and one of those, not Marvin Harrison Jr., but Ozune or one of those guys fall to 10, because we don't know what the Giants are doing at 6. We don't know what the Chargers are doing at 5. We're kind of.
But the thing is,
yeah, Jude, jump in.
But the thing is, it's
a little bit of delay.
10. It's not just about this year. It's not about 2030. Oh, it's not about 2030. That's crazy far out. It's about this year, next year. Because Tyron Smith, he's a great left tackle when he plays. He hasn't played a full season in quite a while. So I'd rather have someone this guy's plug and play. He can sit behind Tyron Smith, but when he goes down, put him in there, let him get to work. That's the logic behind drafting a tackle.
But you're not drafting.
I get drafting a pass catcher too, but it's you gotta think about your personnel.
You're not drafting a backup at 10.
But he would be a starter, but he'd be a starter. But it's
the only one that I can see
have a red shirt for 1 year behind an injury-prone tackle.
I can see them doing it. The only one I can see them doing it is was it Fontenot from Washington, because he can play guard and tackle. So there's a chance that he could beat out Simpson and play guard. And then, for example, if Tyron Smith has to miss, he's not going to practice at all. So you could put Fontenot at tackle to practice, so he gets those reps, both guard and tackle. But if Tyron Smith, then you take him from guard and you put him in tackle, Simpson comes back in at guard. That's the only way I could see them taking a lineman, is someone who's versatile, who can win the starting guard spot. But when your third receiver still right now is Alan Lazard, it's really tough to make a case for someone who's not, maximizing Aaron Rodgers getting the ball out quickly, because Aaron Rodgers loves yak and he loves 50-50 balls. So that's why I think Brock Bowers is perfect, because he could do the 50-50 balls in the red zone, and he's also huge in yak, and he could help block on 2 tight end sets. Or trade up and get one of those wide receivers that Case was mentioning. You have to take that risk. Your job is on the line. You have to win this year. So I think it's a playmaker league now. Look at what the Bengals did when they took Jamar Chase. That's another perfect example. They got made fun of how many times with the Sewell meme and the Jamar Chase in that same meme, and then all of a sudden they make the Super Bowl in year 2 of Burrow with Jamar Chase.
Yes.
And again, the way Matty laid it out, that's what I'm saying. This is not about next year. This is not about the year after. They're maximizing their window for now. Who gives a fuck about next year? Because next year, all those guys are coming off. Then you go back to the table and say, "Hey, Tyron, thank you for this. Here's 18 million. We don't want to bring you back. We have somebody that we drafted in round 2 who can play left tackle. They are versatile. No, they have a versatile tackle. There's a versatile offensive. They went to go Michigan's pro day. We just talked about it in Discord. There's a guy who plays guard. I think he played every position: guard, center, and tackle. Who was on the line for Michigan. You have a versatile guy like that you can draft in the second round. He's not going to be a first round pick. You know what I mean? And if you feel, and again, the Jets are going to have to get into the second round of this draft to maximize their talent. You know what I mean? If you sit there and say tackle at 10 and you don't trade back and you're not in the second round, then you go from one round to round 3. Now, people are saying the Jets may take their future quarterback in round 3. Still not a receiver. Still not a tight end. You going back with Kenny Yeboah and Ruckert and Conklin? Like, that doesn't really sound as good as saying Conklin and Bowers, you know? So that's all I'm saying. I agree.
Do we really trust JD to take someone out of the first round too? Because his first round picks hit. I mean, we still have to see about Will McDonald, but like, how many times has his late round picks hit? Like, they don't. And he usually never takes offensive players in the later round. I think taking Carter Warren and Izzy was like the first time he took like multiple offensive players like in the third round plus, like since he's been here. It's usually been defensive players, usually like special teamers or off-ball linebackers. Like,
right. And he because he knows how to build a defense in Salah's regime. How what Salah wants, he's done excellent at that. That one draft he had, it was loaded with talent. Like, you couldn't miss
it's
that.
So crazy.
It all felt bad.
Yeah, you could have missed that. That draft was amazing. Like, I don't know how any team could have missed that draft. Seattle didn't miss that year either. They had multiple first round picks. They didn't miss. Houston didn't miss that draft. I'm telling you, if you go down the list of talent in that draft, the teams that had multiple picks, how many teams missed that draft?
I think the Steelers with Kenny Pickett.
Let's look at it right now. I'm actually curious.
Right.
And that's because they had to take a quarterback.
Yeah, go look at that draft, dude. It's hard to find a team that missed, like a team with multiple first round picks, a team that is drafting in general, like second round too. Like Houston back. What's the name? What's his name?
Stingley?
The starting quarterback.
Stingley, right?
Stingley, yeah, Stingley.
I know who you're.
Derek.
I know you're talking about Derek
Stingley in the second round. Seattle got their running back. Their cornerback.
They got 2 tackles that year too.
Right. It was that draft was loaded. So JD had missed that draft.
Yeah, pretty much the top 10 of that draft is like that top
maybe
10
the
of
Jaguars
is, like,
with
excellent.
Walker.
I'm looking at it right now. There's like at least 5-7 good. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Maybe the Jaguars. But I mean,
but he's still like pretty good.
I will
he just
say,
like wasn't like the first overall pick word.
Right.
I will say overall, with like it's so funny, just like how much vision the defense has. Like, if you just took like Robert Saleh's defense and his coaching philosophy on the defense alone for these past couple of years, this is an elite team. Like, top to bottom, like how he coaches, how the defense is, how the personnel is, how the scheme garbage from like day one. Like, just it's crazy, just the contrast between the two. But I can be talking to a pass catcher, sure. I'm probably just a little bit more conservative, like my tackles, just make sure everything's good. But Rodgers, you have to get the ball out. Don't sit there.
Yep.
Don't get. I know. See, I can say this now since Kev's not on here. Don't get nervous in the primetime games. Just get the ball out, move on to your thing. You're the big bad wolf now. You got your drugs. You got all your drugs you want. You got your conspiracies behind you. Get out there and do your thing.
He said all the drugs you want.
I can say this now.
Okay, Pablo Escobar.
Yes, I can say this now. Kev's gone. I can say this now.
I think, but Case mentioned it in the Discord too, is that
Oh my goodness.
the way that they're building the line with getting Moses, Smith, and Simpson, they're going to run the shit out of the ball.
They're running the fucking ball.
Yeah,
they're running.
and
like,
I think the perfect. They need another running back too, and Zeke would be that perfect running back. He's always healthy. He could block, and he could get goal. He could get short yard touches. And that, I think, if you're going to pound the shit out of the ball, yeah.
Right. I don't know. I don't know if I wouldn't be mad at Zeke. I know Kev would be mad at Zeke. I mean, he doesn't like him anymore. But no, if you look at run block win rate, you got the two top 10 guys from last year in Tyron and Morgan Moses in run block win rate. These guys who they're there for run the ball. And we're talking about Simpson, they're there to run the ball. And if ABT is healthy and along with Titman, I'm running the ball a lot with Breece Hall, and that means you got to get a complimentary back to help him out. So I definitely agree with Matty. Matty, you've been on point. You've been spot on. Appreciate you for being here. Thank you for filling in for Kev tonight. Make sure you guys are following Matty on the X or Twitter at Traynor, Traynor, Badger, BAD. Huh?
No, I'm just pointing to the sign. Yeah, I'm trying to at least.
Traynor, BADGERO7. Matty's been following us for a while. So I had, definitely wanted to bring him in just to even just come in, to the Patreon and Discord. They definitely supported, and he's definitely a patron member. And we're working on getting this show off the road. So definitely appreciate you for coming out and some great insight. And for your first time being on the show with us and being a part of Session Podcast Network, salutes. I will take my hat off, but I'm not wearing one, and I'll just tip my shades and give you a wink, But it is our favorite. Yeah, they're gonna
my hat off.
Jude is just hot. It's not the hat. It's just burning up in there. But it's our favorite time of the night. It's been a while. We haven't got this in a minute, guys. It's time to get
the moment you've all been waiting for. Pull up a seat and get off your feet for Judes Grooves.
That's all you guys are going to get because, like I said, we get the copyright hit every time I put that up. Let me give a little short bit. Let's get groovy.
Here it goes. Chris Brown just got rich. Took a broke nigga bitch. I can make a broke bitch rich, but I don't fuck with broke bitches, okay? Got a white girl with some fake titties. I took her to the bay with me. Eyes closed, smoking marijuana. Rolling up that Bob Marley, I'm a Rasta. This is so offensive. She want to do drugs. Smoke weed, get drunk, wasted. She want to see a nigga trap. She want to fuck all the rappers. Let me see. When a rich nigga want you, baby, and your nigga can't do nothing for you, nothing, no. Oh, these hoes ain't loyal. No, they ain't. Whoa, these hoes ain't loyal. Yeah, let me see. Rich young nigga. Name got bigger, my change got bigger, so my chains got bigger. Ferrari, money ain't a thing. Me and CB in bay with her. I sent her back home so you could lay with her. Okay, let's talk about this ice that I'm carrying. All these carrots like I'm a fucking vegetarian. Relax, hoes on deck. She's no, I gotta check. Do it too good when she ride that dick. Whoa, man, I wouldn't trust that bitch. No, haha. Come on, girl. Why are you fronting, baby? Show me something. She's going to cheat. Come on, girl. Why are you fronting, baby? Show me something. You done spent your bread on her, and it's all for nothing. Yeah. Let me see. This isn't that bad. This wasn't that bad to read. The only thing this is just so offensive, him talking about rolling up that Bob Marley, I'm a Rasta, she want to do drugs. And that shit's offensive. Everything else was just cool, but this is offensive. Like,
Matty, how do you feel sitting in for your very first Judes Grooves?
I'm glad Kev
Absolutely
got me like
incredible.
some nice tame with that word.
It's like he's telling a story. So and I'm just following along. So she's a vegetarian and she's not loyal.
Yo, he's like, he's like telling a story.
I'm invested into this woman's life now.
Oh man, another successful Judes Groove.
Oh,
Make
my
sure you
goodness.
following Jude at Jude Truth. I was about to spell it out at Jude Truth. Kevin couldn't be here tonight, but make sure you follow Kevin Lewis at KLEW24, and make sure you tapped into the Underdog Fantasy Network and listen to the only two teams that matter with Kevin Lewis and Coley Mick. Make sure you're following us on Instagram and on Twitter at MIPod69. Follow your boy, me, Andrew L. Case at A Case Online. And of course, new to the Ascension Podcast Network, we got my man Traynor Badger. Make sure you follow Traynor Badger 07 on all social media network. And don't be shy, man. We're coming soon with that Black Diamond Middle Show podcast. Baseball, Mets, Yankees, MLB, BD Pod 24. We're working out the kinks, but we will be there in your homes very soon. Any last words before we go?
Jude, you want to go first?
I'm here.
Last
Oh,
words.
no.
He's like, I'm here. We know you're here. Any last words before we go? Jude's like, huh? I checked out. Yeah, Jude tapped out.
State? Yes. First off, go State. Second off, we support Ty God Taylor, all of us of MI Pod, including Kevin Lewis. Kevin Lewis is a big supporter. Don't let him fool
We get you.
So listen to Kev. He said this. I'm telling the truth. And just make sure to follow my Pod 69. Matty, you were great. You were beyond phenomenal. I'm really excited for Black Diamond. Hopefully, we got some juicy stories. Hopefully, you'll find out the mystery of them all. So I'm really excited. Thank you for coming on, Matty. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate both of you guys. Glad to be a part of the team. Just felt like this was a free-flowing conversation. Shout out to the MI Pod Discord. Love all you guys. Shout out to Ty God. Let's go Jets. Let's go Mets. And plenty more, where this came from.
Go Wolfpack. And don't
Go
forget,
Wolfpack.
grab a W. Peace.